Welcome back to JR Pro Shop Vids, everyone. Jungo is back. We got the brand new Ion Pro Solid. So we got the same exact core as the Ion Pro, the hybrid version, and the first one to be released. But this one has a very special cover stock. This is the same cover stock that's on the Phaze II. This is a TX16 cover stock, but as you can see, it's all one color and it comes polished. You know, in reality, it's not gonna react anywhere close to a Phaze II. Phaze II comes standard at 2000, and this comes polished. This has an asymmetrical core, so really hard for me to think that it's gonna react anywhere close to a Phaze II. And this ball on paper is supposed to go a little bit longer and a little sharper, more pronounced back end than the Ion Pro Hybrid. So we're gonna take it to the lanes, we're gonna test it out. We got a Phaze II, freshly drilled, still got the lines on it. We got an Ion Pro Hybrid with maybe 10 to 15 games on it. And then we got the Ion Pro Solid, just drilled as well, still got the lines on it. And we're gonna bowl on something a little bit more difficult than a house shot. We got gateway arch here. It's 7-to-1, so still fairly easy. It's got that good length of 42 feet where most patterns kind of fit right in there for a normal house condition. So we're gonna start with the Phaze II, arguably the GOAT ball ever made. And we're gonna get lined up with that, and then we're going to the hybrid, and then the solid. We're gonna see what the differences are. If you need all three in your bag, or two, or maybe just one. All right, so now we gotta test these three balls in practice on the lanes, right? We're gonna start with the GOAT, the Phaze II. We're just gonna play a normal, kind of like a house shot line here. Break point around 10, kind of around 18, 19 at the arrows. You know, just like a nice little middle of the lane shot. Nothing crazy. Yeah, that fresh cover really bites early. So let's throw a couple shots with it. I'm gonna move a board or two left here. You know, we can already tell that ball's super smooth, super predictable. That's why everybody loves this ball. And let's throw a couple strikes. That's why everyone loves the Phaze II. Nice and early, predictable, smooth. Okay, let's go one down in the progression. The Ion Pro, asymmetrical hybrid, but meant as a benchmark ball. Definitely gonna go a little longer, look a little harder in the back end. Yeah, you can see how much more sharp that ball is off the break point. It's got a few games on it, so it's not tip-top out-of-box surface. You know, the reaction is definitely a little longer, a little sharper off the back end. With the asymmetry, you have much more drilling options with an Ion Pro. So that's why I think they're kind of going towards a slight asymmetrical ball for a benchmark, because much more drilling options, much more reaction changes you can do to one ball. All right, same line. Definitely gets down the lane much easier than the Phaze II. I feel like I don't have to throw it as hard to get it down the lane like I do with the Phaze II, fresh out of the box, just drilled. But you can tell the Phaze II is probably better on the fresh, just because it does pick up earlier. It's gonna be more controllable, blend out the pattern that much easier. But the Ion Pro coming right behind it in the progression. So if the lanes start out with a little bit more friction in the heads, right? The Phaze II might just burn up way too early. You're gonna have to start with the Ion Pro as your first ball. Ion Pro Solid, really nice color. I like the solid blue. On paper, you know, Storm says this ball is supposed to have more back end. Even though it's a solid versus a hybrid, this ball is supposed to have more back end. Same cover stock as the Phaze II, just polished. That just goes to show you, you shouldn't pay too much attention to solid pearl hybrid, right? You should pay attention more to your eye and where balls fit with that instead of on the paper. Because even Storm says solid, it's got more back end than the hybrid. Yeah, I definitely see it a little bit. Definitely see a little bit more back end. It feels cleaner. It feels cleaner as well, right? So hybrid versus solid, the solid's cleaner and got more back end. In the shop, I don't really pay too much attention to solid pearl hybrid for that reason. I kind of go off what I see and what the lanes are calling for at that time, right? So for a tournament, if I bring 6 balls, I might bring 5 solids. Even though they're all gonna react differently, but they're all 5 solids, just a coincidence. So I don't pay too much attention to that. I kind of see what Storm's going for though. Lots of these lanes nowadays are getting older, and that means the front part lanes get beat up. So you need balls that get through the front, slide down easier, but still have some control in the back end. Yeah, good example right there, 9-pin. Phaze II would never leave a 9-pin on this condition right now. If anything, it would leave a 10-pin, right? Just going in a little too straight. This one's going in with a little bit too much angle. All right, I'm gonna move one board left here, just to see if we can get the ball through the pins a little bit better. Not a bad sign. Moved one left, missed a little bit right. Still got back to the head pin, but a light swishing 4-pin. That means that ball's got a lot of angle. Oh yeah, that was much better. That ball definitely has a lot of angle. And I think it's got a little bit too much angle for the condition right now, right? You can see I have to move my feet a little too far left, I think, and comes in behind the head pin a little bit sometimes. The heads are more beat up. This ball's gonna look great. So we've got 3 different benchmark balls here. Just gotta figure out which one is best for you on the conditions you bowl on. So I feel like balls like the Ion Pro and the Ion Solid, it's much easier to move left into the pattern when the lanes start to break down a little bit. A ball like the Phaze II, fresh out of the box, is just so dull that it's hard to move left because it's not gonna shape in the back end. I think that's what these balls are really gonna do well against the Phaze II, is moving left. So let's go 4 boards to the left, slower ball speed down. These balls are gonna come back. Yeah, that's easy length with a lot of back end. Just by moving my feet left into the pattern, slowing it down a little bit. So very versatile, I would say. All right, let's slow down a little bit more and get it to go flush. Yeah, these balls make it really easy to play in. All right, halfway through the vid with Jungo. It's the summertime, right? Nobody's really bowling that much right now. Weather's super nice. But what was your last ball purchase? Did you like it or did you regret it? Let me know down in the comments below. Okay, let's go back to the hybrid. So this one's supposed to be smoother off the spot. So let's see if we can make it hook. So usually on house shots around here, I've been gravitating towards the Ion Pro. It gives me a little bit later read and a little bit more continuation than the Phaze II. But when I travel to tournaments and there's more volume, there's more oil in the heads, I'm always gravitating towards Phaze II for those kind of shots. So definitely a place in my bag for both of these balls. Yeah, they're just built different. Yeah, very versatile ball. Right now the Ion Pro and the Ion Solid feel pretty close to the same, but the Ion Pro here should have a little bit more surface on it. Should fit right in between the Phaze II and the Solid. All right, this ball's gonna bite a lot earlier, be much smoother reacting. Might not go through the pins that great from over here. Yeah, I missed a little bit right there. Just burned up in the mids, didn't make it around the corner. Definitely when I'm moving left, I gotta go to one of the Ions for sure. All right, that was a little better. Missed a little inside, but you can see the ball just picks up early. Didn't continue through the pins that great. Slapped the 10 late. So Phaze II, definitely a little bit straighter, a little bit higher volume patterns. You need a little bit more slide in the fronts, right? Ion Solid. All right, let's throw a couple more here with the Ion Solid. Let's bump left 3 boards. Yeah, really good. Really good from inside. Poor conditions, a little later in the day when you gotta move in a little bit. Still need that smooth, like, predictability off the back end, but gets through the fronts. And it's got some recovery. It's got some recovery. All right, I'm gonna slow down even more here. Yeah, we're getting a little too far left right into the middle of the pattern. Ball's just sliding too far to the right before it starts to come back. If I want to play here, probably have to use ball up, like to a Attention Star S2 or something like that. But yeah, overall, really good ball. Does exactly what it says on the paper. A little bit more length, a little bit more snap in the back end than the Ion Pro, the hybrid. And same cover as the Phaze II, but totally different balls, totally different reactions, right? Totally built different. So just because it says benchmark ball, right, there's still a bit of a difference. You got to figure it out. Buy the best one that suits you and the lanes that you bowl on the best. Okay, we just got done bowling and it's exactly what we thought. There were no surprises here. The Phaze II, super early, controllable, predictable, able to hit the pocket from multiple angles, goes through the pins really well, and controls that pattern real nice. So if I were to bowl for score, I would probably start with the Phaze II on this condition, you know, just to control the pocket. It's not gonna leave me any crazy stuff. It's gonna give me a little room for error, and that's why it's the GOAT ball. And then we went to the Ion Pro Hybrid, the original Ion, and it definitely gets down the lane much easier, right? The Phaze II, I can feel it biting up in the mids, where the Ion Pro definitely slides through that real easy, gets down the lane, and then definitely a more pronounced hook shape at the back end. You know, around here, the local tournaments, I've been using the Ion Pro Hybrid as my benchmark ball. That's the ball I start with. You know, got very good continuation. Sometimes there's not enough volume to use a brand new Phaze II with the proper surface. So then the Ion Pro Solid is supposed to have even more pronounced back end than the Ion Pro Hybrid, and it definitely does. You can see it change direction just a little bit harder, and I left a 9-pin there on my second shot with it, so you can just tell it goes through the pins on a little bit stronger of an angle. As I said in the video, you know, it depends what you're bowling on that determines which benchmark ball you should have. If you bowl on pretty new lanes with a lot of volume, right, you should definitely have a brand new Phaze II or something like that with a lot of surface, a lot of teeth that really bite early, give you that control and that smooth, predictable hook. But if you bowl on lanes that are 30 years old and the heads are burnt, right, you gotta go to something a little bit cleaner through the fronts. An Ion Pro Hybrid, Ion Pro Solid, something like that, that just skids a little easier, doesn't bite the heads as much, and saves its energy for a little bit further down lane. And it's really a product of your environment, which ball you should be using as a benchmark ball. I use both, right? When I travel to tournaments, there's a lot more oil, a lot more volume. I'm gonna use the Phaze II. The Phaze II is always the first ball out of my bag when I travel. Around these local tournaments, there's a little less volume, right? Makes the lanes a little bit more playable for the majority of the people. So I'm gravitating towards my Ion Pro Hybrid, and I will be using my Ion Pro Solid as well. All right, now let's get into the ball ratings. All right, so hook potential, this ball hooks just as much as a Phaze II, maybe a little bit more, so I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10 hook potential. And then we got response time. How quick does it respond to the friction at the back end? You know, it's pretty high. It's definitely more than the Ion Pro Hybrid, more than the Phaze II, so I'm gonna give it a 7 as well. It's not gonna be as sharp as like the Equinox or asymmetrical pearls, or symmetrical pearls for that matter, that really get down lane easy and really snap hard, like the IQ AI and the Equinox and balls of those natures. And then we have shelf appeal. I'm giving this bad boy 9 out of 10 for shelf appeal. I really love the solid blue, the gold sparkle labels, and I think for a bowler who doesn't like to see all the swirls rotate down the lane and just likes, you know, old-fashioned solid colors, this is gonna be one of your favorite balls, I think. All right, and last but not least, we have our promo code at shop.bufabowling.com, Jungo Bark, 10% off your order. Don't forget to buy some new balls over the summer, freshen up your arsenal. And a reminder for the question down below, have you bought new balls lately? If so, which ones? And do you regret it or do you love it? Let us know. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you in the next bit.